Everyone, welcome to another comics loving edition of Words, Images, and Worlds. Delighted on this episode to be talking with comics creator Anthony Summey. Anthony, welcome to the podcast. And did I get your last name correct? Is that right?
Yes, you did.
Fantastic. All right. All right. Thank you so much for joining.
Well, glad to be here, Jason.
Yeah. I'll start by mentioning a couple of works that I'm familiar with that you've done, and then I believe we have a project that you're currently working on that we'll talk about as well. So Flintlock being the major one that I know you for, and then also you have worked on a book called Future Quake as well.
Yeah, I think I've done two stories for Future Quake.
Absolutely. So curious about what's drawn you to comics and this world of visual storytelling.
Oh, my first comic was a Batman Gene Colan, and
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
since this was like back when Jason Todd was that weird sort of blind clone of Dick Grayson before he became the Jason Todd we all know today. And
Hmm.
I was just and Dick Giordano was doing the inks, and just that Gene Colan and that comic just drew me in and started one, and I became a big Batman fan and started drawing. Um, in '96, we've got together with a group of college kids, and we put together a comic book company. And we worked with them. Destiny Comics is what it was called at the time. That's where I had my first job in comics, which
Hmm.
was coloring a comic called I want to say Bug World, and it ended up being the only book we put out. We put out that and Greg Bo Watson's book, The Flea,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
that ended up being it because it was '96. The whole thing was collapsing.
Yeah, yeah.
We got in and we did that. And then a few years later, I went to SCAD to go get my degree in sequential art and keep pursuing this and like get some more training, figure this thing out. And then I've just been doing little indie projects since, and then really hit Flintlock has probably been the biggest thing I've done. Was the big break, I'd say. Working with Time Bomb was great.
Hmm.
Steve's a great publisher to work with. Uh, they work with my schedule and everything. And I really enjoyed doing those first three issues of Flintlock. I got to define the world and the look of stuff, and I'm like, and I got a deal with Edgar Rice Burroughs after the three. So I
Hmm.
went over to Edgar Rice Burroughs to do Pirate Blood for their online series. They were paying a little bit better, and I was like, well, I only signed up for three, and then I got this offer. But the reason they found me is the writer Martin found me through Flintlock.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Nice.
that's how I got noticed there, and that led to Edgar Rice Burroughs, and then um, which kept everything just keeps building on itself. So it's just
Hmm.
don't stop, just keep working. And also the reason I got this Future Quake is because the letterer was the publisher. The letterer for Flintlock was the publisher for Future Quake. So
Oh,
I picked up
cool.
a couple of stories. He's since passed. That was sad. uh,
Hmm.
but um, but that's how I got into Future Quake. And then because the Future Quake story, I got brought in on a 21st Century Gods project for Ozarium Publishing,
Hmm. Hmm.
and I worked on that first issue of that. And then I started talking to the publisher Bill Campbell, and we started talking about some of the projects I wanted to do, and we started talking about Suzy Sampson, and that's what I'm
Nice.
currently working on. It's going to be released in April. Actually, it's all done. It's that version. I'm working on the second one now, and so that's kind of just everything kind of builds on everything else. So just it's all about networking and just talking and getting to know people.
Yeah, yeah. It sounds like one step at a time, and it sounds like a really nice kind of breadcrumb trail of experience too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Curious about as you're creating sort of like the energy, the effect that you're after as a storyteller, is there a particular kind of vibe that you want to capture?
Well, it depends on the story,
Hmm.
really. Um, And when I'm collaborating, it's kind of like, okay, what is the writer trying to go for?
Hmm.
As opposed to what am I trying to go for? With Suzy, I'm writing and doing everything. That's my baby. So with that one, I'm trying to do like old school adventure with a sense of humor. You
Hmm.
know, like some of my favorite comics when I was growing up younger was like Justice League International.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
love that comic. I love the humor in it, and it didn't take itself so serious. Whereas, I'd go read my Batmans, and they were all like dark and serious, and we were in that grim, gritty area too. And I'd read my Batmans and Punishers, but I need that Justice League International to sort of be a palate cleanser because everything was so dark and gritty back in those days.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it was quite a time to be reading comics. Um, have there been particular people along the way, collaborators that have been really supportive in your journey?
Steve Tanner has been great. Paul Birch, because how I got with Flintlock job is because I sent stuff to Time Bomb, and Paul was doing um, bomb scares, and
Hmm.
I did a story called The Dandy Highwayman for bomb scares, and Steve saw that story, and it was basically a highwayman, and that's how I got the Flintlock job. So
Nice, nice.
So yeah, those two have been great to collaborate with. Working with Bill over at Rosarium's been wonderful. Working with Martin on Edgar Rice Burroughs was great, uh,
Hmm. Hmm.
and I probably would have kept doing that if I didn't get the offer to write to do Suzy and do my own book. And I was like, I couldn't pass that up, where I'd have like full control over it, and it would be mine. I'd own the IP and have an investment in that. So you have to take a swing at that when that comes around, you know.
Definitely, definitely. And that Martin is Martin Powell, is that right?
Uh, no, I'm so bad with names.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Powell,
No worries.
Martin Powell does he there Martin Powell does a lot of the Edgar Rice Burroughs stuff. He works
Hmm.
he works very he's a good Facebook a guy I know on Facebook, but it's Martin Gately, I think.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. Cool. 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 Just
Yeah,
making sure.
yeah. We just wanted to double check.
No worries. No worries.
But yeah, it was Martin Gately. And he's been doing the Mad King with Edgar Rice Burroughs besides Pirate Blood, and but that was really good. Martin's very every once in a while, like if I had a problem with one of his scripts, he'd go back and fix it if there was an issue. We ran into like one little hiccup on when they were doing the little sequence where they were taking over the big ships. Something just wasn't jiving right. That he was trying to introduce a supernatural element, and I just couldn't figure out how to get it to work within the world we'd created, and so we changed it up and we worked
Nice.
it out. So and it was more like I don't know what you're trying to do here.
Right. Right. Shout out to good collaboration in that way of creators that can talk to each other and sort of work things out. I love that. Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anything that you want to share with listeners about Suzy Sampson, as well as spaces where they can find out more about it and find out more about you?
Okay. Right now it's available for pre-order on Amazon. I think if you type in Suzy Sampson graphic novel, it should be the first thing that pops up in the Amazon search. Basically, Susie's finds herself 40, divorced, and overweight. She gave up her superhero career to get married, and she thought possibly have a family, but they've never had any kids. And then one day, her husband, like 2 days before Christmas, her husband comes up and asks for a divorce
Uh,
and
yeah.
sets everything into motion and sends her on to rediscovering herself and picking up that Suzy Sampson hero mantle and trying to become a hero again in middle life, middle
Yeah.
age,
Yeah.
So, and I find it very interesting because it's kind of like I want to take the Spider-Man formula where you have all the problems in high school, but now we
Hmm.
have all the problems of middle age,
I love it.
and
Yeah.
play with it. So she's going to do a divorce. She's going to be dealing with aging parents in the next one, and the struggles you have to do once they get to a certain point. Her dad's going to have dementia, and they have to make hard choices about what to do with him and how to help him. And then there will be other things that'll happen with her mom as she's aging, and also, how does she deal with being single at 40? It's a
Hmm.
different world. Dating's different at 40 than it was at 20,
Right.
after divorce and everything. And you have all that fear and that pain because you invested so much in a relationship and you thought it was going to be forever. And then
Hmm.
when it's not, it's kind of like, okay, well, how do I deal with this? Where's my trust level? And how much do I invest in a next relationship? You know,
Yeah.
especially right after. So we're playing with that. She's going to go on some dates. She's going to actually have some relationships. There's going to be other things and fallout from that. So I've got big things planned for her. But the first one that we have going right now is basically her just dealing with that first gut punch of that her husband asking for the divorce, especially right at Christmas. So that's it's kind of
Yeah.
like a double punch.
I can totally relate to the idea of a hero in middle age. I like that idea. I like that a lot. I mean, Peter Parker's been in high school for like decades, so that'll be really interesting to see.
Yeah, well, and that's the other thing. I'm going to age her up as we go too. So she's going to be dealing with not just aging has things happen. I've got 9 stories planned, but we'll see how far we get. We'll see how the interest is and if we can get that far. But yeah, but that's really the biggest thing.
Mhm.
Besides that, I teach at Clemson University, if anybody wants to know, in their
Nice.
digital production arts program, where we just did a 5 minute short last semester in production studio. We got to clean it up and then we're going to send it out to film festivals. So I've been helping the students develop that, teaching a storyboarding class this semester. So we'll promote my other job too.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. I did a guest talk, but it was like an online thing for a literacy course there. So very cool. Very cool. We are connected in the academic ways as well.
Good.
Yeah,
So I was kind of interested. Oh, you teach? Were you teaching at college level, high school?
yeah, yeah. Um, so by means of spaces where people can connect, are there social media spaces that you find to be the most positive, convention spaces or websites or anything like that?
Um, Social media mainly. I'm on Facebook and Instagram, Twitter or X. I've never found that good or healthy for
Hmm.
me.
Hmm. Hmm.
But those are the two main places I'm at right now. I have my website, SuzySampson.com, which I need to update and get everything updated on that. I need to start working on that a little bit more, but I'll have updates there. Uh, the conventions, I haven't done the convention route in a while because I've been spending my time just trying to get the book done.
Hmm.
But I have to start revving that up again, and got to go look at the cons, see what's available, um, and see. Ooh, the con circuit was always it was. I always had my brother with me, so that
Yeah.
helped. I had somebody help me unpacking everything. Now it's just me because my brother's married with 3 kids. He can't just pack up and go to the
Yeah.
con.
Yeah.
So that becomes doing it by yourself is rough.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. Sounds like an extra credit assignment for some students in your class or something.
Yeah, that's well, I got students. Oh, you table? I'll go help you. I'm like, well, okay. Don't think I won't take them up on it, but
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That you got to know that part of it too, right?
yeah. But I always enjoyed Heroes Con, and I did SC Comic Con because that's where I used to live because that was real close. I didn't have to worry about a hotel or travel. I could just go out from the house and drive up the road.
Yeah,
So those
yeah.
were my two favorites to do. But I've done North Carolina Comic Con. I usually try to stay within my little area so I can drive. I
Hmm. Hmm.
was trying to fly and bring books and everything else that you have to do to set up for the tables. It's like, ah, nah.
Yeah,
We're doing like the Southeast, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina. That's pretty much my range right now.
I understand. I understand. Absolutely. Well, Anthony, I appreciate the time. Have we missed anything that you want to make sure to share before we close out that you want listeners out there to know about your work?
Well, I just want them to know my work's out there. Go look at it.
Hmm
Hopefully they'll
hmm
enjoy it. Suzy Sampson's like the first time in a while that I'm not doing something that's historical fiction. So it's
hmm
like so this is more modern day superhero stuff. Because all I ever got offered was historical fiction for quite a while.
Yeah, yeah.
It's so I like for them to go check that out and see what they think, and
hmm
go back, go to Time Bomb Comics, get those three issues of Flintlock. They're good. They're good stories. They're fun,
hmm
and then go get the rest of the series because the guy that came in after me, man, he did pretty good at keeping everybody consistent. Still, I got to see
Nice.
pages. He kept the characters consistent from what I designed, and I was like, wow, man. I'm like, I was like. I would hate to be the guy that came on after and had to figure out all the designs and keep them on model for the next three issues.
True, true enough. Yeah.
So he did a great job of that. So,
Yeah, yeah. Well, very nice to meet you, and glad to have you back anytime as you're working on Suzy Sampson and allowing her to explore life in the middle years and beyond.
all right. Thanks, Jason. It was great to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much.